Hello, everybody. In this video, we're going to demonstrate how to perform a buyer review on a PO invoice. All right, so we are logged into OnBase. We are at our front page here, and we want to navigate to our invoice that's in workflow. And we find the workflow task up here. And just remember, all of your action items are always up here in like Excel. It all depends on what ribbon you're in. So we're in the home ribbon and we're right here in the workflow. Just think of workflow as a series of inboxes an invoice must pass through to get paid. And in the AP process, we have three queues. We have a buyer review, we have a budget level review, and we have a business office review. So I'm going to navigate to my workflow area. And we see over here on our left-hand side, all of the queues that we were just talking about, the project manager buyer review queue, the budget level review queue, and the business office review queue. The invoice has to go through each one of these steps before it can get into SAP and start the final payment process. So I've navigated here. In this area here, we have a list of items that are in our inbox. These are all invoices that are in this. These are the 26 invoices that are sitting in this buyer review queue. And we just navigate to invoices by clicking on it, and you see we get this highlighted blue section. So I'm going to work this AEC West consulting invoice, and you can see the invoice is displayed down here. It's a little small. So if you wanted to make it a little bit bigger, you could just drag up this little action bar here. That kind of distinguishes between this area. You'll know when you hit it because you get these double arrows. So we're just dragging that up to make this bigger. And if we wanted to see a little bit more of the invoice, we can just hold our control button on our keyboard and we can scroll our mouse wheels towards us, and that makes it a little smaller and yet a little smaller again. And then if we go too far up and too small, I can't really see anything on that at this point. I've made it too small. We just hold that control button and we scroll that mouse wheel away from us, and that takes us back in. So this looks like a good level for me. As a buyer, I am validating that this invoice is in fact for goods or services that I know CDOT has received as expected. I want to make sure that we have our date on here. We have an invoice number, and we have a good vendor clearly identifies who they are, and we are making sure that we have a good description of what CDOT's paying for, either work or service, either work that was done or goods that were received. And we want to make sure it's totaled here, and we're getting a good total. And we want to make sure there's no taxes in here, because remember, CDOT doesn't pay taxes on its invoices. You see there, I just accidentally scrolled to this second page, which is just further support provided by the vendor to support the work, the invoice that they're submitting bills for, to validate the work that they performed for us. So I'm thinking, oh, this is pretty good. This is good. This is a good invoice. I think we can work this invoice. So I'm just going to drag that down a little. We navigate up here to our action items. These are all the things that all the actions we can perform on this invoice as a buyer. So what I want to do is I'm going to click on this display coding form. Clicking on this display coding form pops open another window for us. We'll just wait for it to kind of come into play here so we can see what's going on. Sometimes it takes a second or two, depending on your internet connection. Here we go. So at this point, we could, if we're working on two monitors, we could just, you see how I just grabbed that there? I just came up here in this little gray area and I clicked on my left button on my mouse, and I'm dragging it to hold it, and I can move it over to this other screen here. And then, so I could then work it on this other screen while still being able to look at this invoice. But since I can't move it off this screen and still let you see it, I'm just going keep it here, and I might just drag it back and forth as I'm validating stuff for us. Alrighty, so it looks like we're missing a PO number here, so we're gonna wanna get a PO number in there because we are paying this invoice off of the PO. So I'm gonna look on here, oops, got a little too zealous with my mouse movements. And we're back here. I'm gonna look on this here for a PO. And then we have a PO listed right here, and it looks like it's a good PO. So I am going to type in this PO number right here. Let's go with, and we have to make sure that we start our PO numbers with 0 in OnBase. So we're going to start with 0411, and I'm getting that invoice number from right here. Okay, so 0411, and then we're going to go with 01, and I'm going to drag it this way because I can see it better, and then you can see it too. 017641, and we'll just hit enter, and we got it. We're good. And then anytime we're making changes up in this area right here of this coding sheet, we want to really just navigate right back up here to save and make sure we're clicking save anytime we're making changes so that we don't lose it, because if we don't click save, OnBase doesn't automatically save stuff as we enter it for us. So we got to make sure when we're making changes up in this area, we're clicking save anytime we make changes here, invoice number, date, anything. So then we're going to add some vendor text just so the vendor, when we send this payment out the door, the vendor has an idea of what we're paying for. That the information we type here will end up being something that the vendor uses to identify what the check or electronic payment is that we're sending. But we gotta remember it's kind of a character limited thing, so we don't want to write a novel here. So usually we can just write payment for, and we'll just do invoice as a short, and we'll do 2836. I'm getting that invoice here. And this all came in from when Brainware did its scan on the invoice and did some data entry for us. You may not have seen that because that's going to be a business office process, but Brainware is sending a lot of information for us, and that Brainware is basically doing a character recognition scan on invoices for CDOT to help us do some data grabs to minimize our data entry. All right. Next thing I want to do is just validate and make sure that this is the right amount for this invoice. So we got 553, and we're looking over here, and we got 553. All right, so we got good. So I think we're done up here. Oh, what did I do? I added stuff here, so I got to make sure that I'm clicking save. So we're good now. So this next step we have to perform is called line pairing, and that basically means we're going to go and we're going to grab all the coding that's on the PO that's already been created to get this invoice processed against that PO. And how do we do that? I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger. There we go. So we do that by clicking on this pencil icon. Now, back up. We don't click on that pencil icon yet. We click on this fun little plus button here, not the X, this plus button. So we click on our plus button. And what OnBase is doing now is it's going out to SAP and grabbing the PO that we had listed in that upper area. And here we see we have, how much the line amount is for, how much we have remaining. So it looks like we got plenty of remaining dollars for this. So we're just going to click this, get that highlighted blue. See how it's highlighted blue? We're going to click OK down here. I'll make this a little bigger, and then I'm scroll down. And it may look like nothing's happening. We just got to have some patience. You'll know something's working because we'll get a little action wheel down there. See? Perfect. All right. When this amount came in, though, OnBase brought in the full amount because it's not sure how much we're paying off of the PO. It's just saying this is how much you could pay. But we don't want to pay that because the invoice amount is only this 553. So we want to edit this box right here, this line quantity amount. So here we're going to click our little pencil button. Now, hey, there's a pencil button. We're going to need tabbing over, You could just click to, depending on what your preference is, clicking or tabbing, all of it works. So we want to make sure we change this invoice amount, no, line quantity amount, I'm sorry. So we're going to change that to this 55372 invoice amount. And then over here, so this is how much we're pulling off the line, and then it wants to know how much the invoice amount is. So we're going to come over here, and you'll see now that we have an imbalance because over here, this is a key area we want to look at because it's this amount. OnBase is looking for this amount and this amount to be the same amount. So if this amount isn't zero, we have a problem. So what we're wanting to do is change that to the actual invoice amount, 553.72, and we should be good. Now that's all the coding that's the coding on a PO invoice. We don't have to provide the cost center, the function area, the project number, any of that stuff because that's all tied to the PO. So we are literally putting in the quantity amount and the invoice amount. So we've made our changes down here, and unlike when we make changes in this area up here and click save, when we're making changes below this green line, we want to use this save button because this is specific to the PO. So this is kind of a separate area. So we want to make sure we're clicking save. So we click save here. We'll see we got our action window, and we're watching this. Went to 0. Everything else looks good. We did our coding. We got our vendor text. The invoice dates right. The invoice numbers right. The invoice amounts right. And we checked all that when we were here, right? So I might have done it a little quick for you guys to see, but we got the invoice date of 6/18 of 2019. We got that good date here, and we got the invoice number, which they're presenting to us here, and that's right. So I think we're good to go. So what we want to do is navigate all the way to the top here, and remember this is our ribbon, our action item ribbon, and we want to save this whole thing. Now, when we change here, we click save, and that saves everything. But when we're wanting to close and we've done our coding, we're going to make sure we click save and close here. And now we're ready to send this invoice to the next level of review, which is that budget level review, which is the second step of this payment process in OnBase to get a payment made out of SAP. So we're just going to navigate up here, and we have our fun little action items up here. And whatever we're doing, we're sending it to the budget office, or the budget level review, excuse me. We're clicking, and you're going to see this number goes from 26 to 25. And we've seen this budget level review went from 4 to 5, and we're good to go. So we can navigate to this budget level review. We're not going to perform any actions, but I just want to show you that that invoice is here. You'll see it came in. We got the vendor names right here. That's the one we were just working. Remember, AC West, and we'll see here. There's that number, that PO number, and the amount. So we've successfully sent an invoice to the next level of review for our payment processing steps. Thanks, everybody.